Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive today.
It's a good one.
We're going to be talking about French touch music.
Oh, yeah.
And specifically, its connection to the Moog Subsequent 37 synthesizer.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorites.
I am excited to learn more about this.
It's really interesting, like how a specific instrument can be so tied to a whole movement
Exactly.
in music.
Yeah. And we've got a really cool article here that we're going to be looking at.
We do. It's called Il Moog Subsequent 37 e la French Touch. Una sinergia sonora.
Wow.
It's in Italian.
Okay, cool.
But it's a really fascinating look at this connection.
So when we think about French touch, so much of what comes to mind is that sound of the Subsequent 37?
It is.
But how did that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question.
What is it about that synth that makes it so perfect?
I think to understand that, we first need to define what French touch is.
Yeah, let's do that.
So think back to the 90s.
Okay.
Electronic music was really taking off. And French touch kind of emerged with its own unique flavor.
Yeah.
It's like this blend of really danceable beats.
Okay.
Those super funky grooves.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm hearing it.
And then a big dose of nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
From all the sampling they did.
Oh, yeah.
Of 70s and 80s.
Okay.
Disco funk and soul records.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Immediately you hear those vibes.
Yeah, totally.
And you think of Daft Punk.
Oh, yeah.
Cassius.
Yes.
Air, all those greats.
Pioneers, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And while sampling was a big part of it, the real backbone of French touch was electronic instruments.
Oh, interesting.
Especially synths.
Okay.
They were really key in creating that signature sound.
I see. So that brings us to the star of the show.
I guess so, yeah.
The Moog Subsequent 37.
Yeah.
And this article calls it indispensable for producers of this genre.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely truth to it.
Okay.
So the Subsequent 37 is actually an evolution of the already legendary Moog Sub 37.
Oh, okay.
So it takes that classic Moog sound, that warm analog richness, and refines it even further.
Wow.
He took an amazing tool and made it even more versatile, even more powerful.
Wow.
And perfect for the sound of French touch.
Wow. Yeah. And perfect for the sound of French touch.
That's amazing.
It is.
So let's break it down
yeah, let's get technical.
Technically, what are we talking about?
Okay, so the Subsequent 37, it is a two-voice paraphonic analog synth.
Wow. So what does that mean?
So that means that it can play two notes at once.
Okay.
So you get a much thicker, richer sound than a typical monophonic synth, which is just one note.
Oh, I see.
So
I can already see how that would be really appealing. Yeah, for sure.
For French touch,
You get that layered sound, that full texture.
Totally.
Exactly.
And it's got those classic, warm,
almost buttery tones.
Oh, yeah.
That Moogs are known for.
Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't just stop there.
Okay.
They didn't just replicate the old sound.
Okay.
The Subsequent 37 also has some cool innovations.
Oh, awesome.
It's really user-friendly.
Okay.
The interface is designed to be easy.
Cool.
For musicians to get in there and shape their sound.
Awesome. It's inviting you to play with it.
Yeah, it really is.
Cool.
And then there's the enhanced overdrive section.
Okay.
Which can create some really aggressive tone.
So you get that gritty, distorted sound that French touch.
Exactly.
That's probably known for.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's this connection there with the genre's love of sampling.
Oh, explain that.
So French touch often reinterprets older music, gives it this slightly distorted, kind of nostalgic vibe.
Yeah,
you know?
I see that, yeah.
So it's the Subsequent 37's overdrive is almost tailor-made for that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have this marriage of the vintage and the modern.
I love that.
It was cool.
So how do all these features actually translate into that French touch?
That's the big question.
Sound,
It's more than just having the equipment, right?
Right, exactly.
So
let's unpack that.
Let's unpack it.
Okay.
Let's start with the bass.
Okay.
French touch bass lines.
Yeah.
They're not just some background rumble.
Right.
They're almost melodic.
Right.
Driving the whole song forward.
Totally.
And this is where the Subsequent 37 really shines.
Okay.
It's those powerful analog oscillators.
Okay.
And the way that the Subsequent 37 handles low frequencies That gives the bass line such clarity and depth.
Wow.
You can really feel those low notes.
Gotcha.
Not just hear them.
It's that foundation that gets people moving.
Yeah, that heartbeat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then you add in that warm, fat distortion you can get from the overdrive. It creates that classic French touch punch.
Oh, wow.
It's raw energy.
I love it.
Makes you want to dance.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see why this synth has such a strong connection.
Yeah, it's like baked in.
To this genre.
It is.
It's like so much of what defines French touch seems to be built into like the DNA of the Subsequent 37.
For sure.
But is it all about the bass or can it do...
That's the beauty of it.
Okay.
It's incredibly versatile.
Okay, cool.
So it's also fantastic for creating laid sounds.
Oh, awesome.
Which often play like a key melodic role in French touch.
Gotcha.
And it's not just one type of lead either.
Okay.
Thanks to its advanced modulation capabilities.
Oh, cool.
You can create this whole spectrum of sound.
Wow.
From aggressive and distorted to almost liquid and ethereal.
Wow. So we're talking like those soaring melodies.
Exactly.
That just stick in your head.
The ones that get stuck in your head, yeah.
Yeah.
And the modulation options are what really opens up those possibilities.
Yeah.
So it's got a built-in arpeggiator.
Oh, wow.
And sequencer.
Okay.
Which are like having a whole rhythm section.
That's so cool.
Right at your fingertips.
Awesome.
And then what's really cool is that two-voice paraphonic design we talked about.
Yeah.
It allows for some really interesting chord voicings. And textures.
Gotcha.
You wouldn't be able to get on a standard monophonic synth.
Right.
So it adds this level of harmonic richness.
Wow.
That's just perfect.
That's amazing.
For French touch.
It really does sound like this synth was designed.
It's a match made in heaven.
With French touch in mind.
It is.
But here's the thing. Yeah. French touch actually predates the Subsequent 37.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But we've been talking about how crucial it is.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It is. And that's what makes the connection even more fascinating.
Okay.
So the Subsequent 37 didn't start the movement.
Okay.
But it came along and gave it like this breath of fresh air.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
It offered new sonic possibilities for both classic producers and like a whole new generation of artists.
So it's honoring tradition, but also pushing the boundaries of what French touch can be.
Exactly. And it really speaks to the power of a truly great instrument.
Okay.
Like something like the Subsequent 37 can help redefine and revitalize a whole genre.
Okay, so we've established this deep connection between the Subsequent 37.
We've laid the groundwork.
And the world of French touch.
We have.
But I think it's time to get
agreed.
A little more specific.
Let's do it.
I want to hear.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About those real-world examples.
Yeah.
Those moments where the Subsequent 37 is used to create.
Those iconic...
Give me the example.
French touch sounds.
Yes. I was hoping you'd say that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I've got some great examples that'll showcase the synth versatility.
Cool.
And impact.
Awesome.
Especially when it comes to recreating like signature elements of those classic French touch tracks. Okay, so, you know, we were talking about those powerful bass lines being like a hallmark of French touch.
Yeah.
And a lot of what makes those bass lines so impactful comes down to the Subsequent 37's ability to produce these deep resonant frequencies.
Yeah.
With just incredible clarity.
Yeah, that really stood out to me. It's like, it's not just about being loud.
It's not.
It's about that full-bodied sound.
It is.
Yeah.
You can feel it in your chest. Like, think about a track like Daft Punk's Around the World.
Oh, yeah.
That driving bass line is, like, practically hypnotic.
Yeah.
And while they may not have used Subsequent 37 on that specific track, it perfectly illustrates the kind of sonic power
I see.
This synth brings to the table.
Okay.
It's all about those analog oscillators.
Yeah.
Working their magic.
It's the kind of bass line that just makes you want to move no matter where you are.
It does. Yeah. And, you know, modern producers are definitely picking up on that.
Okay.
Take Brickbot, for example. He's a huge fan of the Subsequent 37.
Yeah.
And you can hear it all over his music.
Okay, cool.
His tracks are incredibly funky and danceable.
Yeah.
And that Subsequent 77 bass just adds this extra layer of warmth and groove.
Cool.
It's irresistible.
I love that it's like this synth is
It is
bridging the gap between like
the pioneers of French touch.
Yeah.
And the artists who are like carrying the torch today.
Exactly. It's bridging that gap.
That's awesome.
And it's not just about replicating those classic sounds either.
Okay. The beauty of the Subsequent 37 is that it gives artists the tools to like push the boundaries of French touch.
Yeah.
You know, they can experiment with new sonic textures, ideas, while still staying true to the heart of the genre.
So it's both honoring tradition and paving the way for the future.
Exactly.
I love it.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about lead sounds. So we touched on the Subsequent 37's ability to create everything. From aggressive, distorted leads to those smooth, almost liquid textures. What's really fascinating is how the synth's architecture lends itself to these diverse sounds.
I'm curious to hear how that translates into like
Let's get into it.
Actual French touch.
Yeah, let's do it.
So a fantastic example of those liquid leads can be heard in the music of Air.
Oh, yeah.
You familiar with them?
Yeah.
So their track, La Femme d'Argent.
Oh, I love that song.
It's so good.
It's so dreamy.
It is. It features these like ethereal, almost otherworldly melodies that just float over the music. And while Air may have used a different synthesizer for that particular track, it showcases the kind of sound. The Subsequent 37 is capable of producing. You know, those two analog oscillators working together. They create this beautiful evolving texture that's just mesmerizing.
So we're not just talking about like hard-hitting bass lines here.
We're not.
It can also capture those more delicate, nuanced.
Absolutely. And what's really cool is that it allows producers to move seamlessly between those two extremes.
Oh, wow.
That ability to transition. From a deep driving bass line to a smooth ethereal lead is essential for creating that dynamic range.
I see.
That's so characteristic of French touch.
It's like having a whole orchestra packed into one instrument.
That's a great way to put it. Speaking of versatility, there's another key aspect of the Subsequent 37 I want to highlight. That's its modulation capabilities.
Remind me what modulation is all about.
Yeah, good question.
And why it matters in this context.
So modulation is essentially what gives a sound movement and variation.
Gotcha.
It's what makes a sound wobble sweep or even evolve over time.
Oh, cool.
So the Subsequent 37 has an incredible array of modulation options, including a built-in arpeggiator and sequencer.
You mentioned those earlier.
They're pretty powerful. They are, and they're crucial for creating those infectious grooves and like intricate rhythmic patterns that are so central to French touch. Think of a track like Stardust's Music Sounds Better With You.
Oh, that's a classic.
Such a good song.
Yes.
That iconic riff. With its pulsing hypnotic rhythm is a prime example of how modulation can be used to create a truly unforgettable hook.
I can definitely hear how those modulation effects just add like that extra layer of like depth and movement to that sound.
Yeah, it's all about those low frequency oscillators, or LFOs, as they're known. They're what create that like wobble or pulse.
Cool.
And the Subsequent 37's LFOs are incredibly versatile. You can adjust the rate and depth of modulation. And even route them to different parameters, which opens up a whole world of sonic.
Wow, so you can really...
You don't get in there and sculpt the sound. Exactly how you want it.
Exactly, and that's what makes it such a powerful tool for creative expression. The Subsequent 37 gives artists a level of control.
I like that.
That's just incredible.
It's not just about using presets.
It's not. It's about
having the tools to craft your own unique sound.
Exactly.
It's like this synth was tailor-made.
I know. It's like they knew.
For French touch producers.
It's crazy. A match made in sonic heaven.
And what's even more fascinating is that the Subsequent 37 isn't limited to just recreating those classic sounds.
It's not. It also pushes
the genre forward.
The genre forward.
That's cool.
Producers are using it to experiment with new textures, rhythms, blending elements of French touch with other genres.
Wow. So the Subsequent 37 is helping to shape the future of French touch.
It is.
As we speak.
It's amazing.
And that brings me to another intriguing point.
Okay.
We've been focusing on how the Subsequent 37 fits into the world of French touch.
That's right.
But I think it's equally fascinating.
Okay. To consider how this synth, with all its versatility and power, could be used to shape other genres as well.
Totally.
That's a great point. We've only scratched the surface.
I think so.
Of what this instrument can do.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay.
We've been so deep in this French touch world.
Yeah, been fun.
Exploring the Subsequent 37 and how it's shaped that sound.
Yeah.
But I'm really intrigued by what you said about how its influence could go way beyond that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's obviously incredibly versatile.
It is.
But what other soundscapes do you see it fitting into?
Well, I think if we just think back to those powerful driving bass lines we keep talking about.
Yeah.
They're not unique to French touch.
That's right.
Imagine the Subsequent 37 in a techno track, just pumping out those deep hypnotic rhythms that define the genre.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah, it's got that raw power.
Yeah.
That could really elevate a heavier sound.
Totally. And then we were talking about those really expressive lead sounds earlier.
We were.
I bet it could fit into synthwave. With those retro futuristic vibes.
Yeah, you can already hear it.
Totally.
Those soaring melodic lines weaving through pulsing synth arpeggios.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be amazing for film scores, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, super cinematic.
Totally.
It can evoke a whole range of emotions with just a few notes.
It's so true.
And what's interesting is, while the Subsequent 37 has this very distinct character, it doesn't impose itself on the music.
Oh, interesting.
That's adaptable.
Okay.
It can blend in and enhance the existing soundscape. Or it can take center stage and drive the whole composition.
That's awesome.
It's a cool synth.
This has been so eye-opening.
It has.
We've unlocked this whole new level of appreciation.
Deeper appreciation.
For this synth.
For sure.
It's not just a French touch instrument.
Oh, it's not.
It's this tool that can just transcend genres.
It really speaks to the power of a well-designed instrument.
Okay.
It's more than just features.
Yeah.
It's about how those features inspire creativity and push the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay, so for all our listeners out there, even if they're not diehard French touch fans, why should they care?
Good question.
About the Subsequent 37.
I think the key is understanding that the Subsequent 37 is an example of how technology and art can come together in such a powerful way.
I like that.
It gives musicians a voice. It gives them the tools to explore their ideas.
Yeah.
And bring their sonic visions.
Totally. It's inspiring to think that someone might hear this and be inspired to pick up a Subsequent 37.
Absolutely.
And create something totally new.
Exactly.
And unexpected.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of music, right?
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving. And instruments like this are helping to shape that evolution.
Well, this brings our deep dive into the Moog Subsequent 37 to a close.
It does.
We've journeyed from the heart of French touch to the outer reaches of sonic possibility.
It's been a journey.
I hope you enjoyed joining us.
Me too.
Until next time. Keep those ears open.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
And keep discovering.
And never stop discovering those unexpected connections in the world of music.
Couldn't have said it better myself.